Hello, hello, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Angela Ray Show. For those of you who have been watching for a long time, you know that this is the first week that we are beginning our new schedule. Prior to tonight, we have been going 5 days a week, and Sister Girl really got tired really quickly. So we are only on Wednesdays. And so, what's the word Wednesday on the Angela Ray Show? For everyone who will be catching this broadcast on the replay, thank you so much for hanging out, for sharing and commenting. I do go back and look at all of your comments and your shares. I appreciate you hanging out. For those of you who will be watching tonight's broadcast live, you know what to do. Go ahead and tag some friends, share the broadcast. We're going to have a great time tonight. We got to get it in because we're only together one night a week now. So we will definitely be getting it in. For those of you, again, you're hopping on live, go ahead and do me a favor. Let me know what you had for lunch today. Yeah, let me know what you had for lunch. I was actually just thinking, I was like, well, what did I have for lunch? I had leftovers. I cook in volume. So we had the leftover curry chicken and rice and, the cabbage and all of that good stuff. But yes, so looking forward to getting into tonight's conversation. We haven't, last week, there was a very special segment that I hosted for National Poetry Month, where I featured poets, I think about three poets throughout the week. But we're going back to our roots and starting with our Ray of Motivation moment. And for tonight's Ray of Motivation moment, I just want to remind you that self care is not an option. Self care is not an option. That's a takeoff of that saying that failure is not an option. Well, in 2021, self care is not an option. I'm sure many of you, just like those of us across the country and honestly across the world, were waiting to hear the verdict yesterday in the trial. And whether you felt relief, whether you felt it was justice, whether you felt it was accountability, I'm sure you, like me, perhaps were triggered by thinking about the events that happened almost a year ago in May when George Floyd was murdered. And we all saw that live on video. But we do have to take care of ourselves, our mental health, as well as those around us, those who may be fearful, those who may be scared, those who may have witnessed things like this in their own lives and have just felt triggered, even hearing about the trial again. Self-care looks different for everyone. Sometimes that means completely unplugging from the news. Yes, I know you need to know what the weather is. That's what the weather app is for on your phone. Yes, I know you need to know certain things. You can just pull up a few things here and there on the internet, and you don't have to always watch the news. And sometimes that means unplugging from social media. Social media can be a great resource. It's how we connect. I absolutely love it. But at times, you also need to unplug from that. And not even just unplugging, sometimes that means going out, taking a walk, getting some fresh air, doing some things that you really enjoy doing, maybe reading a book for 30 minutes, going for a bike ride, getting a massage, burning candles, eating your favorite guilty pleasure food. All of those can be ways to really take the time, focus on you, and engage in some self care. And that is tonight's Ray, a motivation moment. Self care is not an option. Now, if you are like me, one of the ways that you may really enjoy self care is by, shaking your little groove thing. Okay, maybe I just dated myself for saying that, but I enjoy fast paced music. I love listening to music, getting my dance on. And let me tell you, back in the day, when this artist, who is our featured guest tonight, when he and other half of the group tag team were back in the day singing Whoomp There It Is, that was the song that got the party started. But these days, Mr. DC Glenn is scooping up those sprinkles as a part of the viral commercial that has introduced his music to a whole nother generation of people. So please help me welcome tonight Mr. DC, the Brain Supreme Glenn, one half of the hip hop group Tag Team. DC, thank you so much for being on the Angela Ray Show tonight.
I am so glad to be here. That was probably one of the best introductions I have ever had. You didn't say my government name. You said my name right. I mean, it just I'm ready to go. I'm licking my chops and I'm ready to go.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. So I know there are some people who do not know what Freaknik was. It has long been put to bed, but that's kind of where your song and your group kind of got its start, and this song just went viral. Take us back to 1993 and tell me what that was like.
Actually, it was we recorded this in the summer of 1992, right?
Okay.
And I was freshly in Atlanta because I went to school at Sac State, came down to Atlanta and visited, and I was like, I'm here because I had never seen this many black people living in harmony, right?
Okay.
And I've been around black folks. I'm, you know, multicultural, but just black folks living in harmony. I'd never seen nothing like that, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I moved to Atlanta, and I got a job DJing at a club called Magic City. And we're not gonna go into that, but one of
Okay.
them, it's one of them booty shaking clubs, right?
Oh, we know what Magic City is. And when you said that, I was like, a club? That's a nice way to clean that up, DC. But I'm gonna
Yeah,
let you
yeah, yeah,
slide. If you
exactly.
want to call it the club for the people today, we can just
Yeah,
call it a
yeah,
club.
yeah, 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 yeah. So, but coming from California, I was introduced to bass music, and we were hip hop. So we would make records, and they would do well. But I knew that we were never going to get out of the Southeast unless we did bass music. And I went to Steve. I was like, man, we got to do some up tempo stuff. And he's like, I can't make that bass stuff, man. I was like, we're going to do it like this. Just think Planet Rock, an Egyptian lover, right? See how you smile, Planet Rock? Everybody know Planet Rock.
Planet,
Yeah,
yeah, sure, yeah. It just took me back.
era, right? And he was like, bet. And he put it together, and I had some rhymes laying around and tried to fit them with the beat. And then I was working on this one song called Whoomp There It Is. And Whoomp There It Is was like a party saying, throw your hands in the air, wave them like you just don't care. And, everybody thinks it's this big rocket science Manhattan Project situation where we had geometry and physics and whiteboards and just being real methodical, how we were going to make a hit record. And it was nothing but a song about us partying on a Friday night. That's all it is, right? Friday night to Jip Joint. That's all Whoomp There It Is. And went to the studio, recorded it, and then I went to work that night, popped the cassette in the cassette player, and to
You want
this
to explain to the younger generation what that is?
a
Because
cassette,
some of them may not know.
cassette is a plastic apparatus that has tape inside, and if you break it, you have to put it back together with Scotch tape, ever so gently, and you will require a pencil or a pen. That's right. So you can rewind the tape, and then your tape is going to have a little blip, but you'll be all good. That's what a cassette tape is. Back then, we had cassette tapes and vinyl, and CDs were just now coming around. And put the cassette in, and to this day, it is the biggest response on any record that I've ever had. And I've been DJing for 30 years, and it just worked. And me and my hubris as a young man, I'm thinking every record I make is going to be the bomb. So I played it for a little while, then I stopped playing it, right? And later on, one of the girls was like, "How come you don't play Whoomp There It Is anymore?" And I was like, "I'll play it." Play it again, and then one of my record reps from Columbia Records who used to bring me vinyl because every major label had an office in the Southeast. Then they would service all the DJs, radio stations, and record pools with music. And that's how they broke music out of the region, right? And I was really good at it. And Alan Cole from Columbia Records was like, "Man, what is that?" And I was like, "That's my new record, man." He was like, "Man, give me that. I'm taking that to New York." And he took it to New York, and New York loved it. And I was like, this really works. And I just started working the record and had all these major labels fighting over me, but nobody wanted to pull the trigger because they didn't understand bass music, right? And it got a little frustrating. And I almost gave up until a young lady that worked for Mercury Records named Lisa McCall said, "You need to talk to Al Bell." For those who don't know who Al Bell is, there were three original black, soul record companies: Motown, Philly International, and Stax Records, which was owned by Al Bell. And the year before, 93 and 92, he had released a record called Daisy Dukes by Deuce. And see, you smiling again. See.
Woo, you just took me back. Oh my gosh. Great Hall, the NCO
Yeah,
Club.
yeah,
Woo.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I've had a
And
flashback.
it went gold. So I was like, okay, this is my last. This might work. Gave him a call. Took him about a week to call me back, and he called me, and I was like, Mr. Bell, I'm telling you, I got a hit record. I've tested it. I'm in the hottest clubs in Atlanta because I'm in all the big. I'm in the, the other club and the regular club, right? And
Mhm.
he just really, 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 you know, just stopped. And I was just so passionate that I was like, you got to sign us right now. And then he was like, okay. I was like, what? And to this day, I'll never forget these words. He said, brother, I don't have to hear the record. I hear it in your spirit. Because he hadn't heard the record. And he said, yes, right? So he said, let's agree to agree. And I gave my 2 weeks in Magic City. Freaknik weekend was my last week at Magic City. And we signed a messed up record contract. And in a month and a half, we were platinum. That's how
I,
fast it was.
I hear you say you signed a messed up contract, and I saw that in some of your information. Nowadays we've heard so much about groups over the years who sign bad contracts. You want to kind of talk a little bit about what someone might want to look for and why your contract was a messed up contract?
It happens to everybody. It don't happen to Michael Jackson. It don't happen to everybody on their first couple contracts. But it's, can you withstand what the record company does to you, right? Because the record company knows the game, but we're young and we want to be stars. It's kind of like how it is now. It's that instant gratification, right? But nobody's thinking long term. Nobody's thinking consequences. Everybody just wants the fame and the glory and the money. So, everything was cool for like 4 years, right? We signed a contract. We was getting money. We was getting show money. We was having a ball. I mean, I can't complain. But then the record company went bankrupt, right? Then another record company came in and swooped up the one that went bankrupt and kind of took something that wasn't theirs. So now we got a
Oh,
battle, and we're in the middle. And I'm fighting the original record company already because I'm like, okay, we got some money, but we ain't getting what we're supposed to get, right? And a lot of cats don't get nothing, right? So at least we was getting something. And there ensued a 20-year legal battle, right? That I had to go through. And you know, at first it was a little irritating, but I take full responsibility because I'm a grown man and I did the best that I could, and the cats that come to me today say, DC, put me in the game, put me in the game. I'll be like, I don't even rap no more. I don't know what you're talking about. But I say, I'll help you. And I try to help people. And I say, give me your email and I'll send you a folder. In that folder, there's a book. And if you don't like to read or can't read, I got a video in there for you. And I can tell you 98% of the people do not call me back because, yeah, they're like, don't I go to the club? Aren't I supposed to do this? How can I be a star? And it's like, I don't know. I don't know nothing about that. I'm trying to help you not get taken advantage of. Right.
right.
And for the people who do that, like I have a guy named Cordell. He's a Army veteran, Afghanistan vet. He's a rapper and he raps about, all his post traumatic stress disorder. And he was like, I just want to learn how to do this, man. This is what I want to do. I was like, all right. And I gave him that challenge. So I'm not about to spend my time if you're not ready or you're not willing to work.
Right.
And he hit me back in a month and he was like, I get it, but I don't get it. And I said, cool, at least you tried. I'll explain it to you. And I explained it to him. And he was like, okay, I get that. And that's dope, but I still don't understand how it pertains. I'm like, dude, I just gave you the game to where you'll never get taken advantage of. Because in that folder, there's a book on music publishing. And no artist ever goes in knowing music publishing. And that's how the record companies get you. because those are your rights to your song, right?
Right.
And they'll give you a bunch of money up front, and then they'll say, we'll keep all the publishing, and then we'll distribute it for you, and we'll do all this for you. But what they don't tell you is that once you sign that over, you sign administration to that over, and then they can just bleed you forever. You will always owe them money, right? And they can never pay you, and that's how it works. And I told him, I was like, dude, I just gave you the back end. I said, I'm not worried about the front end. You're going to take care of that because that's all that. But I'm giving you the back end. So when all this fades, you'll have your music publishing. And even if you have a mediocre record, you can still make money. That's your pension plan for the rest of your life, right? Now, I'm fortunate because Whoomp There It Is a forever hit record. So it was up to me to hustle my money. And that's nothing because I'm a hustler anyway. I love to work. I love my mother and my father for making me work like a dog, right? Because I've been stemming collard greens and shucking peas since I was 5 years old. My mom had.
Ooh, wait a minute. Where are you from? Hold up. You just said stealing collard greens and shucking peas. Everybody doesn't talk like that. So where are you from, DC?
Okay, so I was born in Chicago, moved to Denver when I was 4, but my mother's from Tuskegee, Alabama. My father's from Nashville. So
There it is.
every
Okay.
summer, my mom would take us down. And when we went down, we thought we was gonna play. No, we was working. We was working in the fields. We was busting little fist buster watermelons from Uncle Hardin, learning about farmland, all kind of stuff. We had everybody. It was true South, right? And all the women in my family had me cooking. It was like I got me a little prep cook. Hey, it's a whole bushel of peas over there, shook them, and I was good at it. Then I got to be about 8. Then my mom started having me clean chitlins. And to this day, I don't even clean chitlins no more. It's like I found a place in Detroit that makes perfectly clean chitlins. Everybody say that, but it's the truth, right? So I have never feared work because my parents made me work. They gave us chores. They said, hey, you got to cut this grass. You got to cut them hedges. You got to shovel that snow. You got to rake these leaves. You got to wash these clothes. You got to clean the kitchen. You got to clean your room. And we'll give you $5 a week. But if you don't do something, we're going to still give you the money, but we're going to hurt you where it really hurts. So if I didn't go to church on Sunday, I couldn't play football with my friends on Sunday. If I didn't clean my room, okay, but you can't watch TV tonight. See, it was that reward and the consequences. And I bucked a couple times, but then it was like it wasn't worth it because I love the things that you love. You're not gonna give up. So I never feared work. And then I got a paper route, worked as AV, and I started chefing, and then I just always worked. So I've never feared work. So for me to hustle up my own money with my own hit record was nothing. I just had to educate myself in the ways of things. So I knew that, okay, we're going to be in this lawsuit for a long time. You will have your day in court. So you basically better come up paralegal. You better gather all the discovery, gather all the evidence, gather all the cases, organize it, and have it documented and take notes as this goes along, because they're pulling one side's pulling us and the other side's pulling us. And I'm like, I ain't doing nothing for none of y'all, right? So they're battling each other. And, as time goes on, I'm educating myself. I became a licensed commodities broker. I go back to the club. I'm still making tons of money because it's like I'm making show money in the club. People think I don't bought the clubs I work at, right? So it's all good. I mean, it's all good. And, me being a licensed commodities broker, I did that because I didn't want to ever be taken advantage of again when it came to money. And I actually, because I did these things, I started developing tactics that helped me educate myself in ways that other people don't think about, right? So after I passed the Series 3 test, I was eyeing like something bigger, like I want to have a hedge fund. I don't know nothing about no hedge fund, but I was like, how can you find out about a hedge fund? I was like, well, read a book. No, it's going to take too long. I said, I know what I'm going to do. And I started calling hedge fund managers, right? Okay. And I was like, my name is DC Glenn from Tag Team. I made the song Whoomp There It Is. And I'm, trying to find hedge fund managers for my hedge fund because I've got tons of artists, tons of stars, tons of athletes. And I'm just looking for somebody who could really manage my money the correct way because it's going to be a lot. And they were like, that's my favorite record. And it's like, hey, man, Come up to New York, we'll have a meet. Come to LA, we'll have a meet. Come to Las Vegas, we'll have a meet. Come to San Francisco, we'll have a meet. So now I'm in the boardrooms of these hedge fund managers. And I'm like, why should I let y'all manage my hedge fund? And they're like, oh, DC, because this, and this, and because we're this and this and that, and that and this and this and this. And they just pitching me what they don't understand.
You was taking notes, weren't you?
What they don't understand is while they're pitching me, they're teaching me.
Yeah.
And I've done that so many times in my life when I want to learn something. And I call that learning how to learn, right? It's not enough to read it in a book. You have to learn how to learn something. Another example, if I'm get a long email, you know how we get long emails and then you read the first 2 lines, you start daydreaming. That happens to me all the time. I can't do it, but I'll dump it into AI software and now it's reading to me while I'm checking my other emails. Learn how to learn. Then something hits my ear and I'm like, wait a minute. And then I start reading along with it. Then I retain it even more because I'm reading along with it while it's reading to me. Learn how to learn. So I've developed all these tactics over the years that have helped me learn things quickly, help me adapt to situations quickly. So I've always been able to come out on top and be successful, even when I made mistakes, because I was able to adapt, right? So I get through the hedge fund thing and I realized it wasn't for me because it's basically intellectual gambling, right? But you know how they drop a bomb, they have collateral damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I call it collateral sprinkles. The good part of something that you didn't do, which is I learned finance, right? At the beginning of that process, I couldn't watch CNBC. I didn't know what they was talking about. And then after that process, I knew everything they was talking about. So I could make better financial decisions. Then I found just by happen chance went to an Edward Jones, and a lovely lady sat me down and schooled me even more. And I was like, I like that because I can understand it. She's like, we're going to take a bunch of these little buckets in the forms of IRAs, SEP IRAs for your corporation, these, and you're going to take $500 a month, and we're going to throw a little here, throw a little there, throw a little there, throw a little there. We're just going to keep filling these buckets up. And over time, these buckets is going to make you wealthy. And that's what happened. And I was just throwing money in, they're taking money. I'm not even thinking about it, right? And this goes on for years. And then, financial crisis hit, you might have to pull some, or you might get nervous, but you just leave it. But even if you pull it, when it comes back, you can be right back where you started, right? So that has served me well. And it just got to the point, I knew that Whoomp There It Is was evergreen when I'm sitting in a movie theater. And I look up and Will Ferrell's dancing on the mail table. Right? I'm like, I can't believe this. I was like, this thing's gonna last forever. Cause it was always, okay, man, this might be the year. It fades. This might be the year, but it never did. And it became evergreen. And then it was up to me. And we would always do shows. We did about 5 or 6 shows a year, but we would do NBA halftime shows and NFL halftime shows. And those were very, very lucrative. So we was good. All the while, the lawsuits are going on. And then, I got into this real self-help thing. I got Anthony Robbins, the whole nine. That was going on for a while, but what changed is I read this one book. I can't even remember what book it is, but it's about a guy who wanted to own a pie shop. And he called his process getting in the corridor, right?
Oh.
And he went and worked at the pie shop. He started as a busboy, came up, learned how to make the pies. Once he figured out how to make the pies, kind of understood what it was, then he bounced. And then he started his own pie company. Then he franchised it. Then he sold it for 30, 40 million. And he was straight. Wow. You see what I'm saying? All because he could have tried to do a pie shop, but if he didn't get to touch the pie and understand it, right, there was no way he was going to be able to do that. And he's like, you got to get in the corridor. So me being a DJ all those years, I wasn't just a DJ. I'm in the corridor. I'm your sound man. I'm your light man. I'm doing your TV ads. I'm doing your radio spots. I'm doing your calendars. I'm doing your flyers. I'm doing everything. I've got health insurance. I've got, life insurance. I've got 7 forms of income coming out of one spot. right? And you make yourself invaluable. There's one thing I can't stress. If you're at a job and you love it, do way more than what you're supposed to, because you make yourself invaluable. If you leave, it's painful. And there was times where I was like, another club want me to work, and she'd be like, bam, you ain't going nowhere, right? Got to be invaluable. So I'm like, okay, I could DJ, but I got to be able to do something else, right? And so I started voiceover 2009. And I was like, okay, because I did a record with I taught Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse how to rap. We did a record for kids called Mickey on Rap, right?
Okay.
And I'm in the bowels of Disney, and we in this recording studio, and I'm with the husband and wife team, and we just having a ball, and they're telling me about animation, and I'm like kind of really interested, but I never pulled the trigger. It took me like 15 years to pull the trigger on that, but I finally pulled the trigger, and it was hard. It was difficult because I would go to New York, I would go to LA, come back to Atlanta, work, and do it all over again. I had the best coaches, and I just wasn't getting it. And I was like, man, something wrong with these coaches. Because me, I'm thinking I could just whoop there it is my way through anything, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong. I was wrong. That's something. It's like it was really challenging. And some years go by, and I start getting a little work from it, right? But it was more just to be good in the corridor while I'm working at the club to make real good, effective TV spots and radio ads. So I found a coach in Atlanta and just kept training, right? And maybe like 2015 is like I got to stop DJing because I couldn't take it no more. The thing I love the most I've been doing since I was a kid, I couldn't do no more. Just like I thought I'd never stop partying. Just like when you get older and more mature, the things you used to love, you start to hate. And that's what was happening. And it's not that I hated DJing. It's just that the club, you can't be in the club forever. The club is the club. Most people stop going to the club 30, right? And I was doing it for a long time, but I was able to adapt. I learned how to adapt to people. So I retired in 2015, and it was very, it was treacherous. It was scary. It was just fear, because I've done that all my life, and I had to just bounce. So, come back a little bit during a lawsuit, 2010, they finally got things together where they could get a court date, because one side is motioning to put it in a circuit court. But then that circuit court is like, we don't want to take that case. So they're going all over the country to find a venue to have it. And they're just it's called a motion. And when you put a motion in, it's either gets accepted or it gets denied. And it was just I think they went through like 50 motions. And then they finally got a motion in 2010 to get the case on.
And
And
when did this start? You said that's 2010. When did the lawsuit start?
2000,
19.
1998.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. 1998. So 1998, um, they had been battling back and forth, trying to just maneuver around each other. And then it was like, okay, now they're going to court. And the original record company prevailed. And then a process started where the record company that had took it, not took it, well, that's what the argument was about. They took our publishing, but the record company that bought the catalog, they started appealing. And they kept appealing and appealing and appealing until 2000. The last appeal was to the Supreme Court. Can you imagine? You just looking at the news and like, today, the Supreme Court takes on tag team Whoomp There It Is in the next session. And it's just like, are you serious? But the
Wow.
Supreme Court was like, get that out of here. We ain't trying. Go on now. And that was it. And then it was in bankruptcy because there was a judgment of $2.4 million. This is all documented. If you look it up, it's all there. And, the original record company prevailed. And then it was like, well, we're going to take everybody down. That's what it was like. And it was like, then I had to fight, right? Found a beautiful lawyer down in Florida and gave her a big box, all organized, all perfect, everything. That probably cost me, that probably saved me, that probably saved me $100,000, right? Just from doing the research and just really crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure everything was organized. And they took that and they probably came up with like 5 or 6 ways to skin a cat, right? So once it started, it was on, we prevailed. And like any, like any war, you're gonna lose an arm, you're gonna lose a leg, you're gonna have an eye patch. But you know, we were good. And then that's when I just got depressed. Right? I laid in the bed for a month, like a whole month, like
And
month.
about what year was this?
There was August of 2017. And
Okay.
I was like, man, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
And this is after this is you just wounded, or this is after you finally
This
got
is after
everything?
we were finally done, because it was like, it's one of those things where we waited so long for it, but then when it happens, it's so anticlimactic that,
Ah,
you see what I'm
okay.
saying? It wasn't like we
Mhm.
got a big chunk of money, right? It
Right.
was like, okay, now you guys can, now you're not underneath anything anymore, right? Because I could have made more records, but I wasn't about to make another record and then they'd be like, well, you still owe us, and you still we own it, and we own it. I wasn't about to go through that, because that would have made me mad, right? That would have just been too much to bear. So that's why I hustled up other things, because I'm, like I said, and when I say I'm a hustler, it's like I just work my butt off. I always got 6 or 7 hustles in the hole. I play chess. I'm always playing offense. So, because when you in the clubs and in the streets, somebody's gonna copy your hustle, and then
No doubt.
gonna copy your hustle, and then they're gonna dilute your hustle, and they're gonna be like, "Ha ha, I took your hustle." I'm like, "Cool, you can have that hustle." Because I got 6 more down the road, and you don't even know how to use this one right. So catch
Mhm.
me if you can, right? That's how I'm
Okay.
serious. That's how I'm with it. I do things so different. It just blows people away, because you got to think different. And 2017, laying in the bed, and then boom, I get a phone call. DC, we're this new company, and we like your voice, and we want to give you $10,000 to do voiceover, industrial voiceover for us. I was like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do now, right? And everything just started happening for me. I did that job, and then I got an agent, because my voiceover coach was like, they're looking for African American talent in the People Store, and People Store is the biggest agency in the Southeast,
Yeah.
and they signed me for voiceover. And then I booked a couple things real quick. And then I had a meeting up there, and the owner comes in. We meet each other. She's like, I like your face. Put him on camera. And just like that, now I'm on the roster for acting. And I'm like, what I got to do? It's like, got to take headshots and you got to go to class, take some acting classes. And once I got to acting class, I knew I was like, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And I was in class every day, sometimes 2, 3 classes a day. I went through every instructor in this city. We'd go to LA, we'd go to New York. And when LA and New York would come down here, I trained with them. And I booked my first little commercial after like 6 months, and just started booking little, regional, they call them non-union gigs, regional and local stuff, and just grinded all the way to the pandemic, right? And I'm making money. Then it was like we started doing shows. And, during this time, I'm trying to get shows. Like when I was laying in bed, I was like, I want to do shows. I want to do shows. I want to go on tour. And everybody was like, nah, well, you only got one record. And that record was 20 something years ago. So, we ain't about to put you on, you only got what you going to do. And I'm like, all right, cool. And see, when I hit a brick wall, it goes back to learn how to learn. You're not going to stop me. So, what I do now, and this is another tactic, I join an organization or a society. Organizations or societies are filled with professionals who are masters at their craft, who have been doing this for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And they're about making their profession better, right? So I joined the International Entertainers Buyers Association. And when you're talking about concerts and stuff, you have a hierarchy. You have your buyers. These are the people who say, I want to do a concert series. I got the money. Let's do it. Then you have your venues, stadiums, arenas, amphitheaters, clubs, whatever. Then you have your big boy promoters, which is Live Nation, iHeart TV, iHeart Radio, places like that. Then you have your mom and pops, who are the people that I was talking to. And every time I call somebody, it was like, well, you only got one record. Then you got the managers, and then you got me. And I go to the convention, 5,000 strong, me and Chubby Checker, the only black people in that convention. I got
And
on,
about what year
there
was
it is.
this?
Huh?
About what year was this?
This was 2000, this was 2017.
Okay, this is
And
okay.
yeah, 2017. And I got a big Whoomp There It Is t-shirt on. I'm billboarding. And I got my pitch together and I just started networking. I said, my name is DC Glenn. If you might know me, I made the song Whoomp There It Is. What? Oh man, that's cool. I was like, and if you need a little diversity in your show or in your roster, we have a clean 90s nostalgic rap show. See how that just rolls off the tongue? As soon as I said clean, I had them,
Oh
because
yeah.
everybody in that building would not touch rap because of the insurance, right? See, these are the buyers. These are the people who got the millions and the billions, who put on concerts all over the world. And then here I am in the middle of the money. And now we're starting to do casinos. We're starting to do, we get offers from rodeos, state fairs, every type of entertainment you could think of. There was a lady who wanted to get us 30 shows for the Ice Capades, but they wasn't paying no money. And they wanted to be exclusive. But just the fact that we could have got 30 shows for doing the Ice Capades if the money was right. Right? Just to do Whoomp There It Is. So the thing that they were saying was my weakness turned out being my strength in another arena. You have to learn how to learn. You have to not give up. You have to persevere. You have to not take no for an answer. You have to think differently. You can't let anybody dictate what you do. You have a choice. And over the years, I've acquired the ability to take any negative emotion like that, put it in my pocket. Pain, envy, hate, anger, jealousy. I mean, suffering, all of it, sadness, put it in my pocket and use it for fuel, right? And it works for me well now, because people can say something to me and I'll be like, okay, but I use it as fuel. And especially now, because if I'm doing an audition and there's a role that I'm trying to get that needs me to be sad, I can go in my pocket and get that sad situation and put that suit on, right? And now I can be there. And instead of me becoming a character or a caricature, the character becomes me. And now that's way more believable, because you feeling my pain, you feeling my sadness, you feeling what I went through as an actor, right? So these are tactics that I use to not let people have control over me, right? Because, there's so many analogies that people say that I always flip it and think different. Like they say, don't hang around negative people. Don't listen to negative people. Get all the negative people out of your life. Well, some of the most negative people are some of the people that love you the most, right?
That's true.
And you're not going to get rid of them, right? But you are getting gifts from them, because they're hating on you because they care about you. There might be a little hate too, and a little envy, and a little bit that thrown in. But I mean, my father used to be like, boy, you ain't gonna be able to do nothing. There you go, pie in the sky again. I'd be like, all right, we gonna
This
see.
sounds like the five heartbeats. You ain't
Yeah,
never gonna be nothing, cause I won't never
yeah.
nothing.
But
I
then,
cleaned that up a little bit.
yeah. But then if his friends call, like, yeah, man, because everybody, my middle name is Lavelle. Everybody calls me Lavelle. Yeah, Lavelle's about to be on this and that, and he about to do this and that and that. He's like, man, when your father talk about you, he'd be so proud. I said, I know, but he talked to me, I ain't nothing, right? But that's how I go, and you can't let stuff like that get to you. So, I give people all these analogies to let people know that there's just different ways of thinking. Like, I love to be wrong, right? I love to be wrong, because one, it really sequesters my ego and my pride so well that I don't even deal with that anymore, right? Like, it hurts and my pride is stung, but it don't affect me, and I don't have to do anything to keep, making myself look stupid to feel better, right? It's just like it's sequestered. Okay, cool, keep it moving. And being wrong is the path to being right, because you'll never be wrong about that again. Now, if you're one of the people that just like to argue all the time and win your arguments and just go down rabbit holes and conspiracy theory and know that you're wrong and you just want to win the argument, well, you're going to be stuck, right? You're going to be stuck in that argument because you can't control your pride and your ego, right? I used to be one of those people, right? My younger days, but you grow and you learn. And man, now I see it as gifts, because every time somebody gives me an excuse why I can't do something, you're just giving me a gift, because I'm gonna come up with 5 solutions why I can, and then put them in my toolbox for what that
Another
exact
learning
will
tactic.
become, right?
Yeah.
So I welcome anything. I welcome hate. I welcome, you said, let your haters be your motivators. People don't even know what that means, right? But I welcome it all because I've learned the ability to flip it. So now we're doing shows. Now I'm booking for voiceover. Now I'm booking for acting gigs. And then here come the pandemic, right? And the pandemic stopped everybody in their tracks.
Oh, yeah.
And I can tell you, the pandemic was probably the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I lost people, lost friends, and everything. But on the flip side, it made me stop, because everybody's talking about they hustling, they grinding, they doing this, they doing that. They in the car, they driving, they grinding 100 miles an hour, they rolling, but then they look outside and they're not moving. They're just revving the engine. And they can't go nowhere because they stuck in mud, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was forced to ask myself that question again when I was laying in the bed in 2017. What you gonna do? Because we are all truly in the Serengeti. We are lions and tigers and bears and antelopes and crocodiles, and we is killing each other. And it's like, what you gonna be, predator or prey, right? And I said, what you gonna do? Can't do shows, can't do this, can't do that, but I can do this. I can roll out my bed and my drawers, come over here and make me some money on this thing right here. you know?
Yeah.
And what I did, I said, but you know what? There's other people thinking like that, so you better reinvent yourself. I said, reinvent yourself, boy. And I every class I take, I record, because you can't remember all that knowledge and you can't take notes fast enough. I record everything. And but there's on drives all over the place and clouds place. I had to go find, it took me a week just to gather all that stuff up, organize it. And then I listened to the first session that I had with Joan Baker and Rudy Gaskins in New York. And these are the top people in the industry. And I
And you
thought I
talking
thought
voiceover industry, right?
voiceover industry, and I
Okay.
thought they didn't know what they was. I knew they knew what they was doing. I just wasn't getting. I was frustrated, so I had to blame somebody, and I had to go back and listen to my 10-year ago self, right? And I'm just listening to myself, and I'm like, "You hear this, Negro?" I was just so embarrassed. I was embarrassed. It was heartbreaking just to hear my conversation, right? Because it was just full of excuses and me thinking I could do everything and me thinking I could fight. I was just, and the thing that was getting in my way was me, right? And I said, you know what? And I listened to my first script that I read, and it was just horrific because it was so cringeworthy, and it was just, like I said, it was just terrible. But then at the same time, it was inspirational, because I was like, wait a minute, I did it that bad? I could rock that now. I said, let me write it. Let me listen to what they telling me to do. Okay, you saying do this. You saying don't be choppy. You're saying be smoother. You're saying be this. Oh, I get it now, because back then I didn't know the language. But because I've been in acting classes for the last 3 years and been in voiceover classes all this time, I know the language, just like the hedge fund thing. to where I didn't know what CNBC was talking about. Now I know what CNBC is talking about. Learned how to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Went back and did that voiceover over. And it was the most angelic thing I had ever heard because I had finally had mastery over my voice, right?
Ta-da!
It was like this week on NBC, like instant. And I went through 42-hour sessions for a year ago in the month of March, where everybody thought that we was all going to turn to zombies and be eating each other, right? Because hey, don't act.
I wasn't quite thinking that. I wasn't there. I don't know
Everybody
who
was
those
nervous.
people were.
You know what I'm talking about? Everybody was nervous, and it's
Yeah.
funny that you said your introduction. It was just flashback after flashback because that's why I tell the story. I tell my story like this because you touched on all those things when you said self-help. There were times in the pandemic where it was like, I think I'm going crazy for 2 minutes, right? Just 2 minutes. But then you realize you see how it happens, right? You see
Right.
how one can lose control.
Absolutely.
And the self-care was important. So every morning I would get up at 5. I'll put my waist in the truck and I go to the Kroger parking lot, grocery store parking lot. And it'd be me out there. And that was like the most beautiful spring last year. There was no traffic. Air was clear.
How
And I
about
would,
that? No traffic in Atlanta.
yep.
I-85 was just like wide
Yeah,
open.
yeah. And I'll go to Kroger and I'd work out and just work out. And then I go to the store, get my food and be done. Right. And that's all I needed for the day. I didn't have to want to go to the club or want to go here. All I needed is just to get out, get some fresh air, think, breathe, come back and grind and work. Because I have enough energy for 4 people, right? Because I'm grinding. I love it. I love it. I love it hard and more challenging because I know everybody ain't gonna try to do it. And I know I got what it takes to get through it. You just gotta go. There's no way around it, no way under it, no way. You gotta go through it straight ahead. There's no cutting corners, right? There's different ways to achieve the same goal, but there's no cutting corners. You have to learn it. And I tell you, I went through all that. And then, another thing you said, a year ago is when George Floyd was murdered. And at the beginning of that week, my LA acting coach calls me and says, I'm casting this movie. I got a role for you. Can you get to Nebraska? And the week that the world's going crazy, I'm in Nebraska in a cornfield looking up at the stars and just peace, making a movie, living my dream. Right? All that hard work had culminated in my first movie. And we shot that in a week. I came back to Atlanta, booked another voiceover. Then all of a sudden I get another movie down in South Georgia. Now I'm cooking, right?
With fish grease?
Huh?
You
Yeah.
cooking with fish grease?
I didn't hear what you said. What?
I said, are you cooking with fish grease?
Yeah, I'm cooking with fish grease with a little cornmeal in it still, right? You know what I'm talking about? So
yeah, I do.
then I book a Publix holiday commercial, and then I book a Tyler Perry House of Pain episode, and then here comes Geico. 2020 is one of the best years of my life because I reinvented myself, right? And people don't take the time. Everybody wants it now, right? And it don't work like that. You got to keep playing offense. People, you don't plant a seed and then sit down and cross your legs and be like, come on, seed, grow. Come on, seed, grow. Man, this seed ain't growing. Man, this seed don't work. I quit. Like, you don't do that, but people do that. People
Right.
that do that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a quid pro quo. It's not if I do this got to happen. It don't work like that. You don't know when that seed's going to grow. You don't know what type of seed it is. You don't know what type of dirt it needs. You don't know. You just plant it and keep it moving. Let nature take its course. And I planted so many seeds over my life that I am now standing before you in a forest of opportunity because of my hustle, because I think different, because, I can control my ego and control my emotions, and I keep pushing forward. I play chess, right? And the Geico story is important because that doesn't happen if something 8 years ago doesn't happen. 8 years ago, I'm at work DJing, probably drunk, and
Right.
I get a phone call. It's like, DC, they want you at the front. It's like, man, take a message. Because they usually take a message like she will not get off the phone. I was like, man, which one of these bras? It was like, no. Anyway, I got on the phone and it's a lady from the New York Times. I'm like, hey, I'm working. The song about to go off. Call me in the morning at this number. She calls me in the morning. She's like, you haven't heard about the Gawker article? And I'm like, she said, Gawker just published an article that Barack Obama is in your Whoomp There It Is video, right? I'm like, what? I'm like, first of all, how'd you find me? Right? And she was like, over the hill and through the woods. It took forever me to find you. And then everybody started calling because she told everybody. And then it was like, we did press for a whole week. We did ABC, NBC, CNN. It just blew up. And then it was over. And it frustrated me because I wasn't ready. I didn't have a web presence. I could have made money on that opportunity, right? But because I was just living life and having fun, I'm still studying, but I didn't have a web presence. I did a little social media, that's was beginning of social media kind of 2012. So, but nobody could find me. So how am I going to make money if people can't find me, right? And that's what started my SEO career, search engine optimization, building websites, understanding how the internet works. So all the things you said in that introduction, like social media, people love social media for the wrong reason. Social media for everybody, most people, is about likes, about attention, about validation. Social media is about engagement, right? If everybody's engagement, ideas, and talking and over your content, then that's how social media is supposed to work, because you're providing value for people, not because you're shaking your butt and it's like, everybody look at me, look. You want me to shake a little harder? Okay, come. Not knocking that. It's all good. But that's not what it is. But it might be what it is for some people. So I don't hate on it. I don't judge it. I just try to tell people who say I hate it, you're looking at it the wrong way. Look at it another way. This is how it should be. And I started my journey, and it was difficult. Again, everything I do is more difficult than I could have ever imagined. And I'll be wanting to give up, and I don't want to do it. And I get up every morning and grind on it, and I'll be like, I don't want to do this today. And I get lazy and all of that. But you know what? If it got to be done, I'm going to do it anyway. Right? Because it got to be done. And the faster I do it, the closer I get. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to do it. And fast forward, back then, you type in tag team, it's all wrestling. You type in tag team today, it's all tag team. I get any keyword I want now. I can start any business. I can do this for people. I can start my business and do this for people if I wanted to, right? I'm just glad I learned how to use it so I could do it in, use it in my toolbox. And when I was younger, everybody's like, man, DC, you all over the place. You got tentacles everywhere. Man, you can't get nowhere like that. They say jack of all trades, master of none. It's I was like, but, you do that long enough, all them tentacles start coming together. Then they form, right? And then some of them trades become masterful. You gain a certain type of mastery in them, then they serve you, right? Then you can just reach back and be like, oh, I could do that. Oh, I could do that for myself. Oh, I could do that for myself. And then fast forward, I get a call from Geico. And it's on the tag team line. I don't answer the tag team line. So I don't answer the phone. But then I get a call from my agent. DC, you booked the Geico commercial. I'm like, man, don't play with me. Oh, I was like, don't play with me. I didn't even audition for a Geico commercial. What you talking about? You got the wrong actor. She's like, DC, you booked for a Geico commercial. They want tag team. I was like, oh. And I went and checked my phone, and it was the message. And they had called my phone. Then they went online and went to my IMDb for acting. Because I lay good breadcrumbs and fill out all my profiles appropriately, they called my agent. My agent called me, and then we worked the most lucrative deal of my life, and we got to work, right? And everybody's like, "I know you was happy. Are you happy?" I was happy the first 2 days, but then I knew I had work to do because I know what I got. Because Salt and Pepper did their Geico commercial in 2014. They didn't stop touring until the pandemic. But then I'm like, you're not gonna be able to do that. We're in a pandemic, right? You're not gonna be able to go on tour. So I said, oh man, well, let me concentrate on just making, as an actor, I'm licking my chops because now it's my time, right? And before the pandemic, I had booked a national Pizza Hut commercial. It was my first national commercial. And it was for March Madness. And I tried a different technique and it worked because I was fresh. I probably did like 30 auditions for commercials and then hit one of them national commercials. But I got the Pizza Hut, March Madness. And they're like, well, pandemic, cut that out. And I wasn't mad. I wasn't mad I lost that $60,000, $70,000 because it would have been a short-lived one, right? Just for March Madness. But I was happy because I accomplished my goal. I got booked, right? All that hard work and all the blood, sweat, and tears paid off because they picked me, So I used the same tactics with the Geico commercial. And when we started having conversations, they were like, okay, we're gonna do Soup There It Is. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Okay, well, just like don't trip, start preparing. So I'm looking at Jerry Seinfeld Soup Nazi issues and episodes, trying to figure out, get ideas and stuff. And he's like, no, we're not gonna do that. We don't do Scoop There It Is. I'm like, oh, ice cream. And that took me back to my childhood because my father used to make ice cream for us. Right? He like, get the ice cream thing ready. We had a wooden bucket with a cylinder with ice around it and old school ice cream crank. And he put the eggs and the sugar and the vanilla, throw it in there, and he'd be like, all right, get to it. And my brother would do 5 minutes, I would do 5 minutes, and then 20 minutes later, 2 kids happy as all get out because they eating ice cream right out the can, and I wanted to bring that essence to the Geico commercial. And then I was like, I want to bring 5 or 6 things, ideas to it to give to the director. So, just because I'm an actor and I prepare like that. And one was a spin and scoop. And I was like, I got to find somebody make me a spin and scoop. I got to find somebody make me a spin and scoop. Couldn't find nobody make a spin and scoop. Everybody's like, what? It's like, I want to spin and scoop where it spins my hand. It's like, man, I can't help you. I know kids love sprinkles. So I said, we got to do stuff with sprinkles. So I'm doing a Salt Bae with sprinkles. And I'm doing the ode to LeBron James when he goes to the score table before he comes in and throws up the chalk. That's for sprinkles, right? Yeah, exactly. So, and then, down here we do a dance called the Yeek ATL. And that's the dance we're doing. I did that because I know I have been putting down roots in Atlanta for 30 years. And I knew if everybody saw me do that, they were like, yeah, boy, they represent for Atlanta. And that type of pride, you can't buy that type of pride. You can only, your actions show it. And then, the other actors bought their game and we had our production meeting the night before. And I went to the director and I was like, I got some ideas. Like, anything you want to do, DC? Like, they was like, whatever y'all want to do, we doing it. Y'all tag team. And I was like, all right. And I wanted to do a spin and scoop, but couldn't get it made, man. So we got scrapped out. He's like, no, it'll be done tomorrow. I was like, word? And everything I wanted to do, we did. And those are the little nuances that help that commercial elevate and just be a little bit better than just if I just showed up and been like, I got a commercial. I'm the bomb. I'm this, I'm that, right? I prepared. Preparation can give you gifts that you don't see, right? And every time you prepare for something, you trust me, you will be much better, even if you don't think you are that good than you would have been if you didn't prepare. And we did it for a whole day, had a ball, and then it was like, okay, let's wait. Then I really knew I had to work to do because we weren't gonna be able to do no shows. We wouldn't be able to get nothing off of that. So I was like, okay, This is the perfect time to blow up DC, blow up your acting, blow up your voiceover. We're going to get a publicist. All the publicists tell me the same thing them promoters was telling me. Well, it's a pandemic, and usually we do a junket in New York, and we do a round robin with reporters, and we can't do that now, so we really don't know how to approach it. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for saving my money. And, because that would have cost me $3,000 a month for a publicist to do that. So
at least, if not more.
At least, yeah. And I said, okay. I went and joined an organization. I went and joined the I always say press release. I went and joined the Public Relations Society of America, PRSA. And 2 days in, I'm on a Zoom call, and it's the CEO from this firm, and everybody's asking questions, getting game. And I raised my hand, and I'm like, hey, are press releases relevant these days? Because I did all the due diligence up to that point. I got the press releases ready. I did everything I knew how to do. And bios, all that stuff. I had it ready. And they were like, well, what's it for? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of featured in a national Geico commercial called Scoop There It Is. And I'm looking at the chat, and it's like, wait a minute, that's not him, is it? Oh my God, I love that commercial. My kids love that. Like, I blew the whole chat up, right? Then we blew the whole Zoom call up. And it was like, the moderator's eyes are getting big. Like, what is going? Oh, yeah, I like that too. DC, like, welcome DC to the organization. We're going to talk about that Geico commercial afterward. But back to the question, I want to know this too. Our press release is relevant. And the lady was like, yes, because the last year has been all COVID.
Right.
Gloom, doom. Everybody been fighting with each other. It's just been everybody's been doing so much and doing the most that all we want to do is just smile, right? So here y'all come with a good feel-good story to make everybody smile and feel good and bring joy to the world. And I'm like, cool. And I ain't look back. And then, this is what was even more dope. She was like, and you're going to go to this site for all the publicists. You're going to go to this site for all the talk shows. You can go to this site for all the podcasts. You can go to this site for all the journalists, and then you're gonna make sure your pictures are like this, that, and then you're gonna do this, wrap it all in one ball, and then you should be good. She gave me the whole game in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Right? And I haven't looked back. And it has opened doors for me that I could have never imagined possible. There are 4 things I want to tell you about, but I can't because I signed non-disclosure agreements.
And hey, you know what? I know about those NDAs. You got to sign NDAs these days before you even get your sides for an audition.
Yep, exactly.
So I definitely understand NDAs.
That lets you know there's my future is bright, and it is the reason you and I are sitting here having this beautiful conversation today.
Absolutely.
And that just me talking to you is worth it, because me talking to you helps me, right? Because I tell people it's never about me. It's about y'all, right? I've done it, right? So my responsibility is to talk to anybody who want to listen, right? And tell them the things I wish somebody had told me when I was a young man. That's my responsibility. And that's what I love to do. And I do 5 or 6 of these a day, right? Interviews, I'm hustling, and it just gives me an opportunity to kill 14 birds with one stone. I'm voiceover, I'm practicing articulation, I'm practicing storytelling, I'm practicing how to use a mic, I'm practicing how to deal with different types of people. I did a podcast with a dude 4 o'clock in the morning yesterday in Idaho. Come on now, right? Just the ranges of different people that I'm talking to and able to adapt is just a testament to me training. This is all practice. This is all worth it, right? I'm learning about everything. It's helping me with acting. It's helping me with everything I'm trying to do. So this is the gift. And I could have never seen it coming. And then another beauty of the pandemic is that it changed everything, right?
Oh, yes, it did.
my biggest weakness in acting was that I couldn't find readers because I'd be by myself. Couldn't find a reader. So I'd have to go to a house. I'd have to pay $70 for a half hour and then be nervous. And then they
Where,
don't
oh, hold on. Where were you reading that for $70 for a half hour? We'll talk about that offline.
reader coach. You know what I
Oh
mean?
no, oh, okay. You were getting coaching with that. Okay.
There was some
Okay.
coaches that would charge me $120 for a half hour, but they were good coaches and it was worth it. It was worth it. Now I had
Okay.
terrible auditions because I was nervous and couldn't remember. I knew the lines, but it happens. But all this is training. You got to go through this, right? And what the pandemic did, there's a site called We Audition. They started 2 years ago. And I got on that and I tried to do some auditions. But back then, everybody's like, you can't do no auditions online. It's going to sound like a transistor radio. What they wasn't, George Pierre and then wasn't having that. It was like, you ain't, you got to have a reader, right? But then the pandemic changed that. Plus, wasn't no black people on We Audition back then. So it was like people in Europe. And it's like, I can't have them reading something that I'm trying to be on Star or something like that. That's going to throw everybody off an audition too. Then my rig wasn't right. But when the pandemic hit, all these actors and actresses gravitated to this site. And now I am working out like in the gym because I got my rig together. This site is beautiful because you can find readers all over the world. I've got about 15 people solid. I've got Juilliard trained actresses. I've got soap opera stars. I've got classically trained European actors and actresses. And we all work out and they all read from me and I'm teaching them while they're teaching me. And we're sharing each other's knowledge because we've all put in work in this game and we in the gym together. And my acting has went like, and I just booked a TV show, shot one episode. And because of these, I really, on We Are This, I really mess with the black women because the black women be like,
Clean it up, BC. Clean it up.
no, no,
Clean
no,
it
no,
up.
no, 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 no. I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
I mess with them black girls, right? Because they be like, they put the fire to me. They be like, DC, you tripping. DC, stop doing that. It'd be like they be treating me like they my auntie, right? And I need that. And they hold me accountable, right? And we speak the same language. Now I have, certain Caucasian friends. I've got friends in Brazil, Australia, and the classically trained ones in Europe. I train with them, but I just rehearse with them. So you can rehearse with somebody for $25 an hour. So I can rehearse for somebody for $25 an hour at 4:00 in the morning when I get up. And then by the time everybody gets up, spend another 25, and then I can just take my time, audition. We could play. Now I'm playing with my girls and they're like, oh, I like that, right? And I know when I've done good because we be in the middle and they be ready to just explode.
Mm-hmm.
And they just be like, they'd be like, yeah, you did it. And it's just like, learn how to learn, right? And one of my actors is Keisha Thompson. That's my heart, because there was one day I was like, man, I don't want to do this audition. They sent to me at 12 o'clock, talking about I got at 5 o'clock. I ain't about to do that. She was like, boy, if you don't do that at the audition, I was like, man, I don't want, boy. I was like, all right. I did it. Next day I booked it. Right? Get on set. And my professionalism takes over. They give me 2 extra pages. I have to learn 2 extra pages in an hour. Then we rehearsed. Then we broke for dinner. They were like, come on, DC, we going to dinner. I was like, nah, I'm going to stay here and run my lines. I'm going to learn my lines. And what I tell everybody, it's not, everybody's like, how can I get in front of this person? How can I get in front of this person? How can I do this? How can I do that? No. You don't do it like that. You let them see you hustle. You put yourself in front of them stealthily, and then you let them see you hustle. So the director's seeing me hustle. All the ADs are seeing me hustle. All the craft people seeing me hustle. Everybody's seeing me stay behind and put in work while everybody else playing around don't know their lines to go eat dinner. Then we shoot. It's all good. Then we just have to freelance because most people don't know their lines. including me, even though I had all that time, but I still put it on that face. And then it was over, and I was like, "Hey, I appreciate you, you know, talk to the director having me. This was fun. I hope to work with you again." He's like, "Oh, you working with us again? They're about to write you in for two more scenes." And I'm like, "What?" Like, "Yeah, you put in work."
That's
So now I
awesome.
went from co-star day player to recurring. And then after recurring, the only way up is series regular because they let me on that camera again. You're gonna remember me.
It's
I'm
a
gonna make,
wrap.
I'm gonna make sure, because if you go to a party, you get invited to a party, what you gonna bring? Some people might bring a bottle of wine, some champagne, some cheese and crackers, casserole. You know what I mean? Hey, not me. I'm bringing an ice sculpture. I'm bringing 2 turntables and a microphone, my records. I'm bringing a bouncing gym for the kids out back. I'm bringing a barbecue with some steaks and some ribs and a karaoke machine and 4 card tables so everybody can play Tonk. You gonna remember me.
Pinochle, not tongue.
Pinochle and
Pinochle.
Tonk. That's 4 cards. Pinochle Tonk, whatever you want to do. But you're gonna remember that DC was at that party at DC Bay. It goes back to the essence of hip hop at the beginning when I was a little boy DJing. There was only one question: can you rock a party? Can you move the crowd? That's the essence of hip hop, right? And I use that every day of my life in every situation that I'm a part of. So now, you know, I'm booking here, I'm booking there, and then I'm just preparing now, right? Because the Geico commercial is just beautiful because it just brings joy to people, right? And the beauty of it that nobody still knows is me because we all wearing masks. So I can still move in silence. I can still have my life. And I love it because I've never been that rah-rah dude. Because I've been able to stay grounded like this because I was a DJ, because I was at Magic City and seen all them stars and all them athletes and all them people rise and fall. And when they were at the top, they treated people crappy. And then when they fell, all those people took demise in their downfall. And them people never came back. And I said, that'll never be me. And my daddy pulled me to the side when Whoomp started. He's like, look, boy, he said, I'm proud of you. And he said, he used an analogy. He's like, when I was young, I wanted to hang out with all my friends because they had Cadillacs and had all the girls was in the streets and they was playing. But your grandma was like, boy, if I catch you out there, I'll beat your. I had to stay in school. I stayed in school. I went to college, got my master's degree, got my doctor's degree. And now I got all the Cadillacs and they ain't got nothing. They call me for money. Right. And I remembered that because he said, it's going to fade. I'm like, it ain't going to fade. I'm DC the Brain Supreme. I'm about to have hit records forever. He's like, it's going to fade. And when it fades, do not chase it. It'll destroy you. And I remembered that. My hubris was tripping. My ego was like, man, please. But at the same time, I remembered that. And I took that advice. And I've always been the same even kill dude. Me and Steve have never been rah-rah cats. People book me because I'm me. The rap world don't know I act, and the acting world don't know I rap. Even to this
Well, they
day.
will now. They will now.
Even if they do, though, I'm still gonna get stuff on the strength, right?
No
I'm still
doubt.
gonna get stuff. I'm gonna book on my work ethic because sometimes it ain't about that, right? Especially if you want the juicy parts, and I want it all. I can actually see my dreams come true, and the pandemic changed all that because I said to myself, I do not want to leave this earth regretting I didn't do something or leaving something undone. Right. And so now I've got 5 tutors for everything. I'm learning music production again. I got a cat in Germany, Gregor. I work with him every Tuesday. There's a program called Studio One that makes music. He's the engineer for it. I just called him and said, I need help. Like, people be scared to ask for help. I don't. I'd be like, hey man, I need some help. I'm gonna pay you. He'd be like, nah, you ain't gotta pay me. You just because you asked nicely. That's how I used to do cash for records when they come to the club. They're like, hey man, I got $100 for it. Nah, man, I don't need it. Give it to the girls. They're like, what I gotta do to get a record player? All I gotta do is ask me nicely. Just say please. I'll play your record. And and I just, that's another reason I love doing these podcasts because I have to practice what I preach. All this stuff I'm talking, I better be living it, right? And it keeps me disciplined. It keeps me going. It keeps me just knowledgeable and learning and learning and learning and moving and pressing forward. And opportunities keep coming. And now all I do is prepare, because I can't do everything, but I can
No doubt.
prepare for all of it, right? I
Absolutely.
prepare. I got a tutor for music theory, music for video editing, trailer editing. I'm cutting 4 or 5 demos now, because if I go and I do an A/B, like I did Tamron Hall, and I wanted to throw it out. I was like, look, Jon Favreau, Dave Leone, I want to be in the Mandalorian. I want to be in the Star Wars universe, live action or animation, right? What if it gets back to them? Hey, my kids love that commercial. Get to meet with his agent. They're like, well, let's hear something. Well, I don't got nothing, but I can do this. You're not prepared. That's my fault. So all I'm doing is laying the groundwork, laying the foundation, being prepared. It might not even happen like that, but at least
Yeah,
I'm
who knows?
prepared. And my life is
Absolutely.
literally with opportunities I lost because I wasn't prepared. But that's the natural progression of things. So you don't cry over spilt milk. There's a lot of people we know that's just old and bitter, right? And it's like, pandemic taught me, you don't have to be like that. You can change all those things, all those opportunities you lost. You can have them back.
Absolutely.
You can have them back. There ain't nothing you can't do. And that's what I leave everybody with, is that there is nothing you can't do. When people give you excuses why you can't do something, or if you give yourself an excuse, if you hear yourself making excuses, be like, wait a minute, stop. What's the solution for that? There's got to be a solution for it, even if it's far-fetched. Right? I was talking to my brother, and we were dealing with something. And I was like, he's just telling me all the problems. I'm like, hey man, what's the solution? Even as far-fetched as it, just think about it. What's the solution? I'm like, okay, so now that's the solution. That's kind of far-fetched, but work backward from it. Work backward from it till you come up with something practical that's doable. Then you're halfway, right?
Halfway there. Halfway
You're
there.
halfway there.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? It's all you just have to reverse things and think differently. And I'm telling you, it works. Now people are like, man, you whoop, there it is. Yeah. Well, I'm still DC, right? I still got to earn everything. Don't nobody give me nothing. Don't nobody even know I'm me.
Okay.
They don't. I'm telling you, they don't. But
So you like Kumo D? Because back in the day, Kumo D always had on the leather and the
Mhm.
sunglasses and the hat, and
but
that was one of the things that he talked about. He was like, when I take all of that off, I can go to the grocery store,
you can
I
go to
can
the
go to
grocery
the
store, go
basketball
wherever you
court
want to go
because
to.
no one knows who I am when I take off all of that.
Exactly. And I
Yeah,
love that, and the reason it's like that is because we never acted like stars. We just two dudes. We two dudes. We get on stage, we rock the mic, we leave, go home. That's it. Ain't no partying, ain't no none of that. We here to get this money, and we keep it moving. And I've always been like that. I've always been hustling in the club. I used to sell everything in the clubs. I used to sell hand fans, right? Even in the wintertime, I had these good hand fans you get from the Chinese people in New York. And the reason I sold them, because I realized that, it would be hot in the summertime, but it don't matter what time of the year it is. If a black woman gets hot and she don't got her hair done, she's looking for someplace cool to be, because them curls about to fall. So I would have hand fans. You'd have half the women in the club doing them hand fans, keeping their hair cool. And I would sell them. I would get them for $1 and sell them for $15, just because they served a purpose.
supply and demand.
Fine.
Supply and demand needed at that time. I
Yes,
got
sir.
a question from one of our very loyal viewers. He asked it a while ago. I hope he is still on the broadcast. The question is on the screen, and that is, based on your life experience, do you encourage young people to pursue creative careers in music and entertainment, or have a more structured career in finance or business? And that question is for Edwin Evans. He's one of our very loyal viewers here at the Angela Ray Show.
It's funny you asked that question, because one young lady that I went to high school with, right? She called me. She's like, DC, we're doing stuff for this class this year. And what would you tell yourself as a young man? Right? What advice would you give yourself as a young man? Moving forward, graduating from high school. And I was like, And I was like, you know what? What I do now? Join an organization, right? Whatever it is you want to do, Join an organization, because an organization can put you on game in 2 weeks, and you get a college education in 2 weeks in a certain craft. Now you're gonna have to put in the work, but you'll have an understanding of it in about 2 weeks. So if you want to do real estate, join a real estate organization. There's a whole bunch of them, but just join one, become a member, pick up the phone and start calling everybody in that organization and asking questions. Every question you got about it, you ask them, you write it down, and you figure it out, and you piece it all together. Now you can move forward, and all those people might even help you. They give away scholarships, they give away grants, they do all kind of stuff in organizations. So
That's
if
true.
you want to be a car mechanic and you're good at that, join the organization. You'll be a better car mechanic. Then you'll own a shop. Then you'll own a bunch of franchises of shops, and then you become a conglomerate, right? All these things just by joining the organization, getting the knowledge from people who've been doing it 10, 20, 30, 40 years, that's willing to give it all to you.
That is definitely great advice because there are so many opportunities for mentorship, even in those organizations,
Mm-hmm,
especially for new people. Depends on the organization.
mm-hmm,
Oftentimes there are what we call senior leadership or senior
mm-hmm.
members, not necessarily because of their age, but because of the amount of time they've either
And know-how.
invested in the profession, exactly, or their
And they're
know-how.
usually board members. They're usually board members.
Absolutely.
They'll do something quarterly, and if they have a convention, they'll be there. And what they're trying to do is make their profession easier for people to come into it, because the more people that's in their profession, the better their profession is for everybody and society,
No
right? So
doubt.
when I joined, everybody thinks I got a PR firm because I'm rolling the way I'm rolling. People call me like, okay, so how much it costs for you to do PR for such as? I'm like, I only do PR for me. Right? I don't love it if I'm doing it for somebody else. I love it because I'm doing it for me, right? I write everything. It's learn how to learn. And if people would just do that, because there's some people that's not going to go to college, right? There's some people, that's been the big dispute. Well, we don't have those opportunities. Yeah, we do. You can go online. Everybody got a phone, so you can go on phone. What you want to do, boy? Well, I think I want to do this. Go join that organization, and you'll know if it's for you or not in a week. And if it's not for you, at least you'll know. But then if I join an organization, I'm gonna go all the way through. It's got to be for me because I'm not gonna quit, right? And then that's just one thing more thing you have in your toolbox, and you're gonna start making money at it. And then you might even come up so quick that you can have the money to go to school now and learn the thing that you really want to learn, all while joining organizations as you go, because that helps too. And another thing is, here's another thing. This is important now after pandemic, right? Because the pandemic, people are sitting around like waiting for it to be back the way it used to be. And if you're sitting around waiting for it to get back the way it used to be, you're going to be sitting around waiting for it to get back the way it used to be. That's all you're going to be doing, because we're in a new frontier. Everything is custom. You can make your own lane. You can live your dream. You can actually fulfill your dream because everything is brand new again. Because half of the educators in this country is teaching in the classrooms. Half the educators is like, I ain't going to school with them nasty ass kids. Mm-mm. So now what they did is all those educators went online to tutor sites. There's a site called wyzant.com, WYZANT. You can get any tutor for any. You might be getting trained for music by a Harvard professor or somebody for Juilliard, or you don't know it's somebody who's been tutoring and teaching for 30 something years. So the same kids that these people's in school teaching for $60 a day, they teaching that same kid now for $60 an hour, because they flipped it. They thought differently. They changed their paradigm. So they're still educating people.
What's that website again? Because I know that there are some people
Wyzant.
on the broadcast that may
Mhm.
benefit from that. It's Wise Ant,
W Y
WIZEANTS,
W Y
WY.
ZANT, wyzant.com. That's how I learned how to use a lot of this music equipment. That's how I learned music theory. That's how I learned. So if I get stuck on video editing, I'll find somebody that does it every day. These are professionals that do it every day, and it's all compact, and there's nothing you can't find. And you can set your price limit. If you can only pay $20, $30, there's people that'll do it for that. I don't mean that they're lesser. That just means that that's all they charge, right?
Right.
It might be somebody who said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and retire, but I'm not gonna hit people over the head. and they get more money because they charging $20, $30 an hour, and they might have been making $15 an hour. So they're doing good, right?
Right.
And then they're booked all day teaching the thing that they love to teach. But then there's people who know they do this and they're going to charge 100. So usually I stay at 50. I think 50 is a happy medium. I'll pay somebody $50 an hour because I know I'm only going to need a couple hours because I already know most of it already. I'm just stuck, right? And it helped me through I learned so many things through the pandemic doing that. And now that's my go-to. If I want to learn something, I got some place to go. Think about it. There's a lot of people out there that want to go somewhere that they trust that they can learn.
Right.
Can't everybody trying to get paid, so you don't know who to trust. That's how it was before the pandemic. It's always going to be like that, but now it's a little bit different. Or either I just don't got smarter in figuring it out because I think different. But these resources, it's just crazy because somebody tells me I can't do something. I'm like really trying to figure out another way to do it. And then when I figure out another way to do it, I find new things that I never knew before. And then I just keep adding things to the toolbox. And now any problem that comes my way, I can solve it. I love solving problems. That's why they call me DC, the brain.
The brain supreme. That's where that nickname came from.
That's what
Oh
that
my
means.
goodness.
So
That is
I'm
absolutely
so glad
amazing.
that we got to hook up and I got to talk
Yeah,
to people because it's important. You know what I mean? It's like,
no doubt.
I feel, like I said, I feel it's my responsibility to just put people on game. You can take it or leave it, but I know I wake up every morning ready, happy. I got 4 auditions due tomorrow, and they all gonna get done, right? Because I could do 5, 6 auditions a day now. But we audition, I couldn't do that before, and now I'm not even going through the regular process of getting auditions. It's coming straight from casting. A lot of my auditions come from casting, and if anybody is an actor, they know what that means.
Yes,
So
we do.
it's like okay, the next phase is okay. Now they're gonna start sending you scripts, and that's when you don't got to audition them. But I love auditioning because I know, see, auditioning for a lot of people is like rejection and man, well, I gotta do this. And for me, it used to be that way. First 10 times, that just been a lot. I didn't let it affect me, but I was like, all right, now I got to book something. But now I can't wait to get to the next audition because I know I'm closer to my goal. You got to go through this. This is the game. So
It's a
just
great opportunity to play too. You get to
yeah, you get to
play
play.
when you do an audition. Especially now that everything is virtual, you
Yeah,
kind of get to figure it out yourself. Of
figure
course,
it
you
out on
can
the
send in
fly.
multiple takes,
Hey,
but you can be like, you know what? I see this like this, but the stage direction say this. I'm gonna do it like they say, but then I'm gonna tell them I'm gonna send what I really
yeah,
feel. So
and
yeah, you get an
turn in
opportunity to play.
yeah, you could turn in 2, 3 different takes. So it gives you a true chance to do 3 in a row, 3 different takes, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for if the director says, "Hey, that ain't really working for me. Can you do it like this?" And you be like, "Gotcha," and it's done. But if you're like, "Well, I prepared for this, and I've really prepared for this, and I can't do it any other way," well, you're not gonna make no money, and you ain't gonna ever get hired again, right? So like I
Hmm.
said, this is like going to the gym. I'm doing rests with all these beautiful people. We're all the same mind frame. To find people where you really synergize emotionally, physically, spiritually, all around because we all doing the same thing and we all grinding trying to get it. And we getting it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm in to play the best play. I'm in Atlanta because everybody's looking at me like, why you still wear his mask? I say, I've had my shot, had my shot, but I wear a mask because COVID rules is hard on actors. I've gotten paid just by being number 2, just in case number 1 don't have a negative COVID test. So I can't miss no money like that. That's being irresponsible, right? But people looking at me like I'm in the gym, I'm the only one got a mask on. I was like, first of all, that don't even sound right, but it's true. And I'm like, I don't even think about it. I just do right. You
Do
got
what you got to do so you can get done what you need to get
yeah,
done.
yeah, man. Go in there and work out and get the heck on, and hey, it's all good, And I'm having, I feel like a kid again.
You living your best life. You being little Duval. You living your best life right about now is what it really sounds like.
I've always lived my best life, right? Even when I'm in despair and even when all that pain and anger, I'm still living my best life because I know I'm gonna come out of it. I know I'm not gonna stop, and I know I'm gonna keep going. And
Absolutely.
things happen, and it just works. For me. Now, I believe it could work for everybody because it's just a mindset. It's like take no prisoners. You know, I lost 100 pounds last year, right? And I've been struggling with my weight all my life and did it. And then I'll come up with such innovative ways to do it. I'm about to write a book on that. I'm about to have a cooking show. I'm about to do
Wait a minute. We're gonna have a little tag team workout. That's what we're gonna do. No, I'm
no.
joking.
We're gonna have
I'm
we're
joking.
gonna have a cooking show where I'm gonna show people how to cook everything they want to cook and not be wanting for anything. Just don't have no carbs in it, and you will drop
Oh,
weight
okay.
instantly.
Ah,
And then it becomes a
well, that's
lifestyle.
neat.
So you might
Hmm.
gain some weight, but you ain't gonna get back to where you were, and you ain't gonna get out of control because it's your lifestyle now. And you
Yeah,
know
it's not a
that
diet.
it's
Yeah.
not a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's the way you
Hmm.
cook your food now. And you just
Yeah.
with better ingredients, but you don't cook anything that has carbs in it. And you can have as much as that if you want because it changes your metabolism. And now, because your body doesn't crave sugar, it uses fat for energy. It switches. And it just
Yeah.
I had to stop. I was looking like a Shar-Pei dog. I had to kind of slow down.
Yeah, you didn't want nobody to think something was going
I
on.
had to slow
Have
down.
you seen DC? What is going on? I
Yeah,
mean, I know he had to, yeah, you
yeah.
know how
And it
people
was
started
like
talking and
then
everything.
but everybody knew though. Everybody knew I was putting in that work because I was talking about it and posting about it, right?
Right.
And I was showing the recipes that I was cooking. And it wasn't like I was cooking pieces with cauliflower, and I wasn't doing none of that crazy stuff that people do with keto. I was cooking down. I was still cooking fried chicken. I'm still eating pizza. I'm still eating tonight. When you said I cooked me some lunch, what did y'all have? You said what's your thing? You had what y'all have for lunch today? This is what
Uh-huh.
I had today for midday lunch. I made me a pastrami wrap and some calamari and a salad, and it was good. And I'm
That
good.
sounds good. That
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
good.
Yesterday, what I guess I did chicken fingers, fried okra, and a salad, right?
Okay.
And either between kale salad or Caesar salad. And
That all sounds
there are no
good.
carbs, none of that, right? But
None of the complex carbs for people who like carbs. Yeah, complex carbohydrates. I know what you mean. I'll follow you.
I mean, in the keto diet, you get 20 a day. So the only carbs in that meal with the chicken fingers is a tablespoon of cornstarch, which is 4 grams of carbs, right? And it's a wet coating, but you know the real good Chinese chicken wings where they be real crispy. That's what it does. You fry it in olive oil. Then people give me excuses. Well, don't the olive oil burn because it got a high burn point? No, because I got a big vat with a strainer and a cone, and as soon as that chicken come out, I throw it in there, and now I got fresh grease without no cornmeal in it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
solved another problem because I use filters, right? And I strain the grease. I get 15 fries out of one bottle of olive oil. It never burns. It never gets old. It gets real seasoned real good. But then I can cook pork chops, anything like that now. And I'm still no carbs, or at least under 20 grams, right? 20 grams of carbs. And then salad and Caesar dressing doesn't have anything. And uh, then a piece I use low carb tortillas, they're only 6 grams of carbs. So that's your bread. So you can make a little wrap and sandwiches with that. So if you want pastrami, gyro meat, uh, uh, Philly cheesesteak, all that, no carbs, and you will drop weight.
So we're going to have to stay tuned to your Instagram, which, by the way, if you're watching, it's been scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the broadcast at DC Glenn ATL, as well as at Tag Team Whoomp. You can connect with DC and follow along, and just know that you heard about this cookbook and cooking show that may be dropping there. This has been a master class tonight. I certainly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. You're doing 4 and 5 podcasts a day. I know that you're getting many requests. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show tonight. And whenever you're ready to cook, that is one of my passions is cooking. I hosted a live cooking show for about 6 years, ended right at
Mhm,
the pandemic. So that is one of my passions is food.
mhm.
So we'll have to tag team again whenever
Okay.
you get this cooking show and whenever you get this cookbook Facebook, and I would love to show some of these recipes that you have come up with. But again, thank you for taking the time to come on tonight. We've had some great questions, great comments throughout the broadcast. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to see them. They've been up on the screen throughout the broadcast. The audience has really enjoyed the valuable information that you shared tonight.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
Sprinkles!
Of course, of course, of course, of course. French vanilla. Okay, no, I'm not going to
Yeah.
do that. Have a good night. And again, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Peace, y'all.
All right. Again, that is it for this Hump Day edition of the Angela Ray Show. This is the first time that we are only having one broadcast for the entire week. So we will be back next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. As always, I would just like to remind you all of Ray of Motivation number 54. Cleaning a mirror does not change the person who is reflected in it. Until next time, I encourage you all to go out and be the change. Have a great evening, and I will